Getting broadcast. Okay. Well, I don't know if anybody can see this, but this is the first time that I've tried this whole YouTube thing. Alright, looks like it's working, guys. I'm just going to verify that I am actually live on my YouTube. So give me just a minute. I'll get everything adjusted, guys. Don't worry about that. I have another live to set up. So if you're coming here now, thank you so much for coming here. And give me just 1 second to get all set up. If you haven't seen any of my live videos before, then you're probably not sure what's going on here. But all will become clear, I promise. Alright, now I'm going to set up the Facebook Live. Maybe. Facebook. I already got allergy symptoms, don't I? Tonight's live. There we go, baby. All right. Ooh, snorkely. Go live. Good evening, everyone. All right, so I am live on YouTube. If you are watching this on YouTube, I will apologize in advance for any kind of technical issues or user error, because it's the first time that I've ever tried to do this on YouTube, and I just set it up this afternoon. So if you are watching on YouTube and there are any issues, I do apologize. I will figure this stuff out, I promise. Let me move back a little bit so you can see me. Facebook, family, friends, Pain Warrior USA folks, welcome. As you can see, I am coming to you from my garage again. The Wi-Fi signal out here is much better, and I am streaming on 2 devices again. So that is why. Please excuse the mess behind me. Just block that out. If I could zoom the camera, I would. All right, so tonight on the COVID-19 update show, we have a lot of things to go over. Some things that are not in the list that kind of happened today that I wanted to show you is I'm going to be disinfecting the mail that came, and the reason I'm disinfecting it is we got a cardboard box, we have a plastic priority mail envelope, we have actually a package through Wish from China. So before I do that, I'm going to get a Corona because I'm a little bit wigged, but you know what, we're going to get through it together. In the regular mail. And then I also have some water here and some soap. I'm going to wash my hands after. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. All the topics that I mentioned earlier we're going to discuss too. And I just realized that the notebook from the press conference notes is in the house. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Stay here, boo. I'll be right back. Sorry, babe. It's just Mama. It's just Mama. Alright, guys. I'm sorry about that. One of my dogs is out here with me, so Boo is his nickname. Mama is me. Alright, so I had forgotten my notes from the press conference earlier. I apologize. So, okay. And also, in a couple minutes, one of my neighbors is going to be stopping by because she needs some hand sanitizer, and I have plenty. So I'm going to give her some of that. So you'll see me bounce off camera for a few minutes and talking to her. So I apologize for that, but now is when I knew that I could give it to her and nobody would have to come in my house in case she was worried about that. I wouldn't have to, whatever. So I think I hear her car pulling up. So what I'm going to do is ask you guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and submit them. I do have a lot of questions from a lot of different people, and I have a quote from somebody on, oh, hi Rebecca, she's here. You can come up. He won't hurt you. He's a lover. He's all right. He's just big. Okay, so my neighbor is here. I'm going to give her the hand sanitizer, so I'll be off camera a little bit. I don't want her to feel like she's going to be on camera. So you'll hear me talking to her. It's okay, Lou. Lou, it's all right, babe. I know. All right. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys. I'm going to take care of this real quick. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. Thank you so much. I didn't really have anything else, so you can just put it.
it's better in the pump because that way you're not, yeah, take.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's more sanitized that way.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. We've gone to so many stores.
Please, it's nothing.
Okay.
It's alright.
Thank
now, if you look at the date on the side, it does say 2019, but I tested it and it's still the level it needs to be.
Okay. How'd you test it?
I have strips.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm a chronic illness and pain educator, so I have an organization. So I've been doing like live videos and educating people and stuff. So.
Okay, yeah, we're new to this with our daughter being immunocompromised now, and we've never actually been so worried about it.
I understand. I'm immune compromised too, so I get it. And people are not heeding the guidelines.
No, they are not.
They don't understand why.
No. So.
You're very welcome. If you need anything else, let me know. I'll try to help. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Lulu, come on in. Okay, guys, I am so sorry. That's all right. I was gonna help a neighbor like we all should be doing right now. So, all right, guys, I am back. If you are just joining, my name is Ginger. I am also known as the Pain Warrior Princess. Welcome to the YouTube, folks. Guys, I'm only doing this to help my neighbors and humans and everybody else get through this situation. I literally have 13 YouTube subscribers, so before anybody jumps and says, "Ooh, ad revenue," nah, not with me. I just know that YouTube has a different way that they get recommended videos out to people, and I want to get this information out to as many people as I can. Another thing I want to tell you, if you are new here, I have allergies. So if you see me wipe my nose or I sniffle or whatever, I don't have COVID-19. I have allergies. So I will be doing that periodically throughout. I apologize for that. Wearing a hat, just in the garage, it's kind of chilly, that's all. So I think I'm going to close the garage door just because it is getting a little cold. Then we're going to start, okay? We're going to sanitize the mail I got today, which if you just joined here, cardboard box. And we heard yesterday, 3 hours it lives on a cardboard box. I'm going to show you how I deal with that, being chronically ill and immunocompromised. We got a plastic package, and we got a package from China through Wish. It'll be a good experience to show you guys, okay? I'm not looking forward to doing that, but I'm going to make it through. So I'm going to shut the garage. I'm going to grab a Corona because it's not Corona Beer's fault. And I'm a little nervous about the package, to be honest, but we're going to get through it. Stay on your bed, honey, okay? Stay on your bed, buddy. Don't get in the door. All right. Okay, guys, so in addition to the topics that I mentioned that we're going to be discussing, like I said, I'm going to sanitize some mail, and then after that I'm going to wash my hands. I brought some water out. Obviously running water is better, but I wanted to do the demonstration. And if you didn't see the video, okay, I thought it was frozen. If you didn't see the video earlier that I posted with Alton Brown talking about why hand washing is better, not to scare anybody, it doesn't mean hand sanitizing is not okay, but hand washing does have some additional benefits. So check out that video. All right. Also, as you saw in the topics we're going to talk about, the White House press conference earlier today was very interesting, had a lot of promising news. The interview with Dr Birx, a lot of promising news and some good news, and then a bunch of questions. So, and there was somebody that was interviewed at Clearwater Beach, obviously a young guy, and he said some things that are very concerning. So please stay tuned. You're going to want to hear that because it's a very wrong thing to think. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start and sanitize the mail. So right now it is 8:07 Arizona time. We brought, not me, my better half, got the mail at 4:30. It's been out in the garage since. After he left the mail, before he came in the house, he sanitized his hands. If I'm not looking right in whatever camera you see, it's because I'm going in two places. So, okay, I am going to make this so you can see. And make you guys so you can see. Let me move my water bowl. Sniffle for my allergies. Excuse me. I know that's rude. I apologize. You're all right, buddy. You can lay there. Okay. So if you were here last night, you saw me fill my rubbing alcohol spray bottle. If you weren't here, I recommend that you get one of these empty spray bottles and you label it because you're going to want rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle so you can sanitize certain things this way. You're not going to want to fill the bottle because rubbing alcohol evaporates rather quickly. So you're just going to want to fill what you need. All right, let's get to it. I think I have enough in here to do it. And what I'm going to do is walk around to the other side. Oops, sorry guys. To the other side of this table because my dog is right there and I don't want to spritz him. So here we go. We're going to sanitize the mail. I'm going to wash my hands. And then we're going to get on with the rest of the topics. One more sip. All right, here we go. It's okay, baby. This is a plastic package from Tempe, Arizona. This is the package from China that I mentioned. I will hold it up. I'm sure you can't see it right now behind the cardboard box, which is right here. Came from California. Kind of concerned about that one. And then we have the regular paper mail here. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to spray my hand, not because I'm afraid I have something on my hand, but I'm going to spray my hand so if I touch the box and there's something on it, it will die immediately, okay? So my recommendation before you start to sanitize your mail, spray your own hand with rubbing alcohol. So again, when you touch something, if there is something on there, it will kill it, okay? I know, buddy, this is a pain in the ass, right? Do you hear my dog? He's like, eh. Okay, so here we go, because it dries quick. Do I need to move this closer? Never mind the wonky table, it's a work table out here. Okay, spray my hands, grab the box, turn it over, and just go to town, basically. And then I'm going to move it somewhere else because this is like the we're not sure about this thing until this dries. What I'm going to do is put it on the floor right next to me. Now, is this overkill? It very well could be. This box was not in anywhere except our garage for the past 3 hours, but like I said last night, I'm saying 6 hours for cardboard because I'm being extra safe. All right. Now we're going to move to the plastic package. Same deal, spray the fingers. I'm grabbing just the corner, what I need to. Spray her down. And then move this over to the clean area. Okay, guys, time for the China package. Guys, I'm not really that worried. You guys know I have a sense of humor. I'm not really that worried. It's just kind of interesting. We got a wish package from China today. Okay. Now, this one I'm going to do a little bit differently just because of where it came from. Okay? I'm going to move it over with the bottle. I'm going to spray it on the top. I'm going to let it sit while I deal with the other mail. Then I will come back to it, flip it after I spray my hands, and do the other side and then move it. Okay, so we're not done with that one. All right, what I'm going to do with a paper mail, I'm not going to soak it because obviously we don't want what's inside of it to not be able to be read. So I'm just going to do it lightly. Now, the junk mail I'm not going to bother with. I'm not going to waste my alcohol or my time on the junk mail. So I'll show you how I handle that. All right, I got to move the trash closer. Hold on. Again, don't judge. This is our garage, so the garbage can's kind of funky. All right, this is not junk mail. Oh, that's not junk mail. Okay. Congressional Health Update on Coronavirus. I'm going to keep that, though I think I probably know what they're going to say already. American Regenerative Medicine. Normally that would be junk mail, but with what's going on, I'll read it. You never know. Santan Hyundai. Okay, that might be important. All right, I have no space to put the cleaned mail on that table, so that's why I left. I'll come over here, drop it in the clean section, come back over here so you don't spray Lulu. All right. Yeah, the reason I'm taking this precaution with the paper mail is because I don't know how long they're saying that it can survive on paper, okay? And even with the guidelines, they did say 3 hours for cardboard, 24 to 48 hours for plastics and stainless steel. Like I said last night, I am doubling all of those, mostly because I'm being extra careful because I have chronic illnesses and I have decreased wellness immunity. All right, I sprayed the one side. hit the other side, and I'll just toss it in the pile. It's right there. That's a bill. Got to keep that. Valpak, I don't care about that right now. This is important. Let me get my hands again. All right, all of this is important stuff. All right, I'm just gonna do this quick, okay? I don't, it's taking too much time. All right. That's the paper mail. Now we're gonna go back and deal with a package from China. If you're just joining, I sprayed one side of that package after I moved it with my rubbing alcohol bottle. I didn't touch it. Now I'm going to spray my hands. If you just came here, I'm spraying my hands not because I have anything on it yet. Well, I do because I've been touching the mail, but that I did in the beginning. What I do it for is I spray and then I grab. So if I grab anything on the package that has a virus on it, it will kill it when I grab it, right? Because I have rubbing alcohol that's still wet on my hands. Okay, I'm going to do it again just because it evaporates quick. Grab the corner, turn it over, give it a spritz. And I'm going to get every single side right now. Now, I did this in a very particular order, okay? I'm going to leave that there for now. Yes, I know it's the dirty table and everything was disinfected. Okay. I'm going to leave it there for now because I want the rubbing alcohol to do its job for as long as it can. Yes, I did put that package back on the table that was kind of dirty, but what I think we're going to end up doing is opening these packages out in the garage. Even though I did all this, we're going to open them out in the garage, and then we will take out of them, hold on, the mail was attacking me. We're going to take out of them the stuff that we'll bring in the house, and then we'll leave everything there. I know I just touched my face. I know, I shouldn't have. Okay. Now I'm going to wash my hands. This is not going to be the easiest thing to do, just because I prefer running water and it's much easier. So, all right, excuse my snooting. All right, what's important for you to see is the lathering, not the rinsing necessarily, especially in a bowl like this, because you want running water, okay? I know I'm touching my face, guys. I know. I'm doing the back of my wrist like I told you guys about, right? Back of the wrist. That's why when you wash your hands, you're going to do the back of the wrist. All right. Now, one thing about soap that I have mentioned numerous times before, it does not have to be hand soap you use. It does not have to say antibacterial either. It just so happens that I had this Dial soap in the laundry room right inside the door. It's actually not Dial soap, the almond milk kind like it says. I filled it with another soap. But anything that lathers, shampoo, body wash, anything will do. Okay, now they told us to count to 20, right? I've been touching packages, so I'm not going to put on music to show you guys the 20 to 30 seconds I use, but, all right. Normally, I would turn on the spigot, wet my hands. So I'm going to do that. I would wet both normally, of course, but I have this in my hand. All right, don't start counting yet, because we need 20 seconds of soap, lather, friction, right? This is not counting. So I wet my other hand now. And then I'm just going to spread the soap. And now I start counting. So I sing a disco song in my head. If you find a song you like that you know is 30 seconds of a segment of it, go ahead. Yeah, I said 30, not 20. All right. So I do this part first. Then I go to my thumbs next. Get the end of those thumbs, guys. Then do the other one. Try and make it so everybody can see this. And then I go to the back to get between the fingers. Okay. I know I'm not doing my fingertips yet. Don't worry, I will. And I do this part on this hand. Now I do what Dr. Oz likes to call the Turkish twist. Do it this way, switch, do it this way. Now, before I get my wrist, I'm just going to go kind of wring my hands, do it all again, get everything nice and soapy. Then I do the back of my hands. I know they're not talking about the back of the hands and the wrist. Well, sorry, excuse me, they are. Back of the wrist is what I meant to say. I am so sorry. I know they're not talking about it, but I am a person who touches my face a lot, so I do the back of my hands, or back of my wrist. Damn it. And I suggest that you do too. Okay, we're going to attempt to rinse without getting my notes all funky. Another thing that I'm recommending to people right now, I am one of those people who doesn't like to use disposable items when I don't have to, which means, in my case, like paper towels. If I can use a hand towel, I would rather do that. In this particular case with what's going on, if you can spare the paper towels, I would recommend using those just to be safe. We're all trying to be safe and stop the spread of this beast. All right, so that is how I wash my hands. Perhaps I'll sing the disco song at some point, if the public would like it. All right. What is that on the screen? I don't know what that is. I don't know. I hope you guys can still see what's going on, but... Okay, now, if you'll excuse me, my allergies are kicking in. Okay, now, so that was sanitizing the mail. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie, but these are just things that we're going to have to all get used to for the next couple of weeks at least. So, no, I didn't like it. Yes, it was the first time I've sanitized packages since all this stuff went down, because it's the first time that we've gotten any packages. So, we're going to have to do these things for the next few weeks, and it'll be all right. But I would like another swig of beer, because it was a little nerve-wracking. By the way, if my doctor is watching, it's only one beer. Please take pity on me and my pain contract. It's only one beer, and there's a lot of shit going on. Okay. All right, guys, you know what? Why don't we do a little hand sanitizer demo just to be safe, too? Use more than what you think you need. And then I do the same process of rubbing together, the same count, the same amount of times as I do with hand washing. And again, guys, this is something that I have been doing for decades because of my chronic conditions and because of my decreased immunity. So this is something that is like old hat to me. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's get into today's topics while my hands are still kind of drying and stuff. I also was thinking about when I do these, showing you guys a product that's still available in the stores that people don't realize would be good to have if we're gonna kind of be stuck here. So let's do that real quick. Tonight's product is apple pie filling. Just real quick, guys, this is a really good thing to have in your house anyway. You can make a quick dessert with it. But in this case, if you're not going out to the store to get fresh fruit and stuff, it's always good to have fruit. It's very good for you. It's got sugars in it. It's got, depending on the fruit, a bunch of other stuff. This has some potassium in it, but it's really good to make a quick dessert. It's good if you're not getting fresh fruit to take a couple spoonfuls of. So this is something that I grabbed. And if you can find some, you might want to too if you don't have any apples in your house. They also, of course, have cherries. They have peach flavor. They have all different ones. All right, so what is the first thing on the list? Let me pull it up on this other phone. I have like 4 phones out here. Okay. Surface wiping from a clean rooms expert. All right, this is pretty cool, I think. Just to explain, if you weren't here last night, one of our marketing clients actually supplies clean room supplies for clean rooms. And if you don't know what a clean room is, it's basically a place where all kinds of things can happen, from like tech manufacturing to dealing with viruses and trying to figure out, you know, what's going on with them. But they have to be kept clean of dirt, germs, bacteria, viruses, dust, everything. So I am going to show you how they recommend to use a cleaning wipe. If I had a cleaning wipe, I don't want to show you with a paper towel because it will bend differently. So I'm sorry, if you could pardon me one more second, let me go grab one of those wipes. Don't go away, I'm going to show you. Hold on. Louis, stay here, buddy. I'll be right back. I know, baby, I'll be right back. I need a Clorox wipe back. When the package gets here, we'll leave it in the garage. Okay, so, oh, wait, gotta close that. Sorry, guys, we were talking about a package that we are expecting to get. Okay, so, I'm gonna tell you how to use these wipes. And again, this is not information from me. This is information from a marketing client of ours that supplies clean rooms with all of their supplies. So they are very familiar with wipes and the process to use them in a place like a clean room. So they're very well versed in this, and they're perfect to give us this information. Okay, now something else about the Clorox wipes. On the back it says kills coronaviruses. Now, a lot of people are saying the coronavirus about what's going on now. It's actually more accurate to say this coronavirus or COVID-19. COVID-19 means coronavirus, the disease. So coronaviral disease 19 is 2019. So people who are saying the coronavirus, or they've known that this does, like I saw going around, one of the medicines they talked about today, somebody posted an article and they said, well, they've known since 2005 that this kills coronavirus. Well, those coronaviruses, yeah. That's why this one is called novel coronavirus, because it's new. So don't believe those things that are going around, okay? There have been coronaviruses for a long time. I bought these wipes 8-9 months ago. So that was before all this stuff started, and it still says kills coronaviruses on the back. So don't be misled by that. All right, guys. Ugh, if I could get the wipe out. Maybe they should have trained me how to do that. So the way that I got this information is they wanted an article written for their newsletter, and so they could kind of help people through all this. So this is how I got the knowledge. I edited the article. So what they recommend is that you take the wipe out, you fold it in fourths, okay? We're going to fold this way, and we're going to fold this way. And then you hold it between your index and your thumb, the part that's open. Now, what we're going to do is wipe whatever we wipe. The next swipe we do, we will overlap the last part 10 to 25%. That way, you know you're not missing anything, and you know you've gotten the whole surface, okay? Then we're just going to wipe a little bit. Then we are going to unfold it for a clean side, as long as it takes to get the surface clean. And then, because of what's going on, I recommend that you sanitize your hands, which I'm going to do. But I'll demonstrate it real quick on my phone. It's a pretty simple process, but this is the right way to do it according to the clean room supplier. So here we go. I'm just going to wipe the phone. I'm going to go over that part again. As you can see, I'm overlapping it, right? Like he said. Now for my other phone, I'm just going to unfold, get me a clean side, and do it again. So it's a very simple procedure, but one thing that they were I'm sorry guys, let me show you overlapping. One thing that they were very clear about is make sure that you dispose of it properly, okay? And yes, that means right away, and yes, that means in the garbage. So, boop, there it goes. All right, so that was how to properly use a wipe according to our marketing client, who is a clean room supplies supplier. So let's move on. A lot of stuff to cover, and I've probably been talking too much, so let's get moving. All right. You know what? I do want to jump ahead a little bit, and then I'll go back to the next item. And I'm probably going to get angry about this. I apologize. There might be a cuss word come out. I apologize. So they showed all these youngins. They're youngin to me because they're at least half my age, on the Clearwater Beach. And they interviewed this one guy. And before I even say it, I'm going to tell you he is dead ass wrong. The information that he said is wrong. There's nothing right about what he said, except maybe he knows his wife's profession. That's about it. But wait until you hear what his wife's profession is and what he said about their situation. So he said, it's just a virus going around. It's just a cold. Just wash your hands. And my wife is a nurse, so this is not going to affect us as long as we wash our hands like we're supposed to. Basically, like, what's the big deal? So his wife is a nurse, yet he thinks this is not going to affect her? How stupid can you be? She's probably, God forbid, one of the first people that could be affected in his area. That's a stupid ass thing to say. He shouldn't have said it. And what also bothers me about it is he's only thinking about himself, which means that he either heard that we have to be careful because nobody has virus immunity to this particular coronavirus, COVID-19, and he doesn't care, or he just thinks of himself and he doesn't understand it. Well, I know people that age often only think of themselves, or they think 2 weeks ahead at the most, probably not even, maybe 2 hours ahead. They don't think 2 months ahead. So please, if you have anybody in your life who is a millennial or even older, and they're like, well, it's not going to affect me. Yeah, it might not, but it might affect me, okay? Might affect other people that you might not know. People look at me and they don't realize that I'm sick because I don't look like I am. And there are millions of people around this country who are like me or look sick. There are millions of people who need a mask and oxygen every day. I just happen to not, but I still have decreased immunity and I still have chronic illness. So I'm very upset about what he said for many reasons. But if you have people in your life like that, there's also a post on my feed today regarding what you can say to those people, because if they don't know anybody in their life that it may affect, what's it to them, right? They don't care. I'll wash my hands. I'll be fine. So I wanted to get that out. I only cussed like twice. I'm very proud of myself. All right. Next on the list is me getting a swig because I'm hyped up from that. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and post them, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on my personal Facebook. All right, updates from Dr. Birx. This is going to be a bit of a longer segment, but it's very important because some of the stats that are coming out kind of sound like they mean one thing, but they don't. So my source for this information, I always give you guys sources, right? So you know it's verified information that you can count on. Dr. Dr Birx, she was on the Brett Baer Special Report show today. She was interviewed from about 3:08 to 3:26. If anybody can somehow find that on your DVR or wherever, that's when the segment was. And Dr. Birx was answering several questions that there's been a lot of kind of myths or fallacies coming out about. So we're going to go through those. She was asked how long this will last, and she doesn't know. Nobody knows. We can't tell. Italy, Germany, France, and Switzerland are kind of seeing the epidemic there expanding. Not to scare anybody, but listen, they didn't take the same precautions that our country is, or that South Korea is. And speaking of South Korea, it looks like there's hope coming from there, because in South Korea and China, which I know that's kind of, do we believe it or not? And here's her quote, okay? Quote, where it looks like they've moved through the worst of their epidemics, okay? This is very promising information, because to her it looks like they've moved through the worst of it, and we know what the time period is that it took for that to happen with the precautions that they have, and we have very similar ones. We just started it sooner than Italy. That's why things are so bad there, and we're kind of seeing, you know, the virus has had a chance to incubate, and all these people who didn't know they were sick and were passing it along, and all of that stuff. So that's very promising in my opinion. I think that's great news. So, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, guys, there's hope. So, and then she talked again about that's why the aggressive guidance to us, and it was modeled after, quote, China, South Korea, and the models show it could have an impact. So that's why we're doing all of this stuff. We want to be more like South Korea and less like Italy, okay? The next question was, do you believe there's no new cases from Wuhan today? This is a very interesting topic, because a lot of people are not really believing what China is saying, and it doesn't make sense to some people. She said, Dr. Birx said, it lines up with a trend in South Korea, so yes, at this time, she believes the data coming from China. So what that means is the curve has started to flatten in that area in China, and it looks similar to the trend in South Korea. So yes, for now, she believes the information coming from China. But I think, like everybody else in the world, she's concerned that we were not alerted sooner by the Chinese government of what was going on. Sorry, allergies. I'm sorry, guys. And we all know, we've all heard by now, the reporters were silenced. The internet is blocking certain words. We all know these things are going on. So obviously there is something that they don't want us to know. Not a conspiracy theory. Those are all things that did happen. But we'll have to see how it all plays out for sure. This was pretty concerning to me, this next bit of information, okay, guys? There are 3 states in the U.S. that have 57.7% of the U.S. cases. And I think she said 10 counties in those states. Don't quote me. It's between 10 and 15, I remember that. But That's just me remembering. But for sure, she did say there are 3 states with 57.7% of the U.S. cases. Obviously, we know New York has the most. So this is kind of promising because it means that we are stopping it. Not every state is getting those very climbing numbers. Remember, the numbers will go up. They will spike because now people are being tested. So we know if they have it. Like I said last night, no, you wouldn't see results if they weren't being tested or if there was a big backlog in the tests, which there was. So now that that backlog is getting cleared out, there are going to be a lot more positive cases come out. Don't panic. The lab was backlogged. It doesn't mean so many more people have it. I think people hear the numbers and they think the guy was tested the day before and then the next day there are all these numbers. It's not like that. There was a backlog of tests. Maybe some tests were from a week ago, some were from 3 days ago. So don't get concerned about the spike in numbers just yet, okay? Let's see how the next couple days play out while they're getting those tests updated, test results back, and the backlog is going away, okay? The source for that 57.7% of U.S. cases in 3 states is by CSSE at Johns Hopkins University. I don't know what the CSSE stands for, but that's what they had on the screen for the source. When Dr. Birx was asked about Governor Newsom's statement, where he believes that a very large number of people will be infected, I'm not going to say the number here. It's not a verified number. It's his opinion based on certain models that he saw. It's a scary number, and we're not going to go there. Okay, you can look it up if you want to know, but I'm not going to do that. So Dr. Birx, her quote about that is, quote, "We know what to do now to stop the spread of the virus." So that's very promising information. They know what to do, and what are we doing? What are we supposed to do to stop it? Stay inside if you've been told to. Self-quarantine if you have symptoms. Don't go out if you don't have to, if you're in an area where your government has asked you to do that. All right, wash your hands. Good God, wash your hands, of course. I haven't said wash your hands except when I did it, and I've been on here a long time. Okay. And she also did say we need to make personal, this is not a direct quote, okay, I'm paraphrasing, that we need to make personal sacrifices and do what we're being told to do. So we have closer numbers to exponentially less than what Governor Newsom from California said. Again, I'm not going to say the numbers because they sound scary, and it's an opinion. It's based on a model. It's not anything that they actually have scientific data about. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to be scared here. But what I am going to tell you, and I'm going to look in each camera, okay? I'm going to start with this one. It is in our hands to stop this thing from spreading, okay? It's in our hands. Do what you're being told to do, and we're going to come out of this a lot better and a lot faster. Okay, for Facebook, this whole thing is in our hands right now to stop the spread of this virus. Please, if you feel sick, stay at home. If you have the symptoms that they're telling you to go get checked out with, go get checked out. Self-quarantine. What's the other one? Wash your hands, of course. Do everything that they're asking us to do, guys. It's in our hands. We can make history, right? We can make history by solving this. Okay, sorry. I'll move on. Now, people are always asking, well, 15 days. Some people are saying it's going to be months. And what she said, pardon me, what she said was we're going to have to reevaluate on day 14. That makes sense, right? Here's what I do know, guys. Here's what I do know. If we're not doing the precautions like they tell us, it's not going to be just 15 days. I can tell you that. I promise you. I can tell you right now. If we don't do what we're supposed to, wash our hands, stay at home when we're supposed to, especially, there's no way it's going to be 15 days. And that's not scaremongering. That's just me and common sense. So if y'all want to get up out your house after the original 15 days, do what you're supposed to do. And then you'll be able to. If not, who knows when? So again, it's in our hands, okay? She's very optimistic about treatments, and I will talk about those specific drugs that were mentioned. They were mentioned in the White House press briefing. And she also said that President Trump basically tasked the commission with, I want a drug now, that we can use. I want a drug in 30 days. I want a drug next fall. And I want 2021 for the vaccine to be done. Now, why can't they do a vaccine overnight? Well, that's not the way it works. So 2021 is probably the earliest that we will get one. But the fact that he wants a drug now that can be used to treat it, and then in a month, a different one, additional one, and then next fall they have a different one. That's very promising. I don't want this to get political, I really don't. But I know what people think. Okay, well, there's one drug to treat it. That's enough, right? No, it's not, because there's only so much of that drug or what's needed to make that drug. And that's not because of the COVID-19, that's just manufacturing. So having one drug is great, but that supply will eventually get dwindled. So we need another drug in 30 days, and then we need another one next fall. So 30 days is enough time, in my opinion, for them to do some more research and do some more manufacturing to ramp up those new drugs that they're finding to be treatments. Okay, so basically they're studying these drugs while patients are using them because some promise was shown in a small test. Like I talked about last night, 40 patients were successfully treated with that drug that I'll mention in a second. This is a very interesting thing to me, being a patient, being on medication for a long time, and kind of relying on the FDA when they approved these drugs and they were considering them in the clinical trials and stuff. So it's very interesting to me because with these drugs, they're going to get so much more information than they normally would in a clinical trial. Why? Because these people are not going to be in a specific environment. They're going to be able to provide extra data, like maybe they'll find out that people who worked out 30 minutes a day every day, it worked better on. Maybe they will find out if you have it with avocados, it doesn't work as well. This is all very interesting stuff that we normally don't know with a drug. So it's really actually, it's pretty cool if you ask me. By the way, the avocados thing, some medicines are actually like that. There are certain medications that it's recommended you don't have grapefruit juice or grapefruit while you take it, because there's a certain enzyme in the liver, and that they don't play well together, and they can't really know how much of the drug will be metabolized and all that stuff. So I know it sounds weird, the avocado, but it's actually a thing. Okay. Now, this was in the Washington Post, and it was clarified. I'm so happy by Dr. Birx when she clarified this. The Washington Post said 40% of U.S. COVID-19 cases that need hospitalization are in younger adults. Now, Dr. Birx qualified this, and she explained it all. The data that they base that on are ages 20 to 54. That's the age range for that particular statistic. That's a lot of ages lumped together, right? So younger adults, 50 is not considered a younger adult. I don't even think 35 is. So she said that between the ages of 20 and 44, the statistic was 20%, but they just don't have enough of that kind of data for the lower range of just 20 to 30. So that's what kind of happened with that. So I think they're going to get a lot more data coming up here because younger people are getting this COVID-19 virus, and they are needing to be hospitalized because they're not doing what they've been told to do. I don't want to harp on that, but it's so important. It really is. All right. Children are not COVID-19 immune. They are not. I don't know who put that out. I don't know why they put it out, but she specifically said this is another thing going around that's not true. Children are not immune from COVID-19. But when they do have a child under 19 that gets it, in general, they recover. So that is interesting and good news. And at the end, Dr. Birx said to her, "How are you holding up?" Oh, no, excuse me. He said, "Are you holding up?" And she got a big smile on her face, and she said, "Absolutely." And that was a great thing to see. And as tragic as this is, as catastrophic as it has been in other countries, and as difficult as it is for us now, doctors and scientists, this is their thing. This is what they are awesome at. This is how they get down. They enjoy this. not that they enjoy a virus spreading, but they enjoy this research and trying to figure it out and trying to get treatments and vaccines and how does it spread and does it spread this way and this experiment and that and this data and that. They're in their element completely. And the fact that that was her response with a big smile on her face when, girl, I know you're not sleeping. I know you're probably not eating that much either. So I appreciate her efforts, and I know you do too. You okay, Bubba? I think my dog wants to go in. All right, so today's White House press conference information, that is actually on this phone. So I'm going to try to go through it quickly. And this is where we're going to talk about those medications that they mentioned. All right, guys. So, chloroquine, I believe, chloroquine, and oh, my phone typed it in twice. Hydroxychloroquin. This is the medication, and by the way, somebody asked a question later about, they don't know what they're doing with these drugs because they were made for something else, and I'll explain that. So that is the one that in 40 people, they had good results of using it. And then there's another one, a malaria drug. It's called remdesivir. And that is one that's been around for a long time as well. Pretty much for malaria and Ebola, which are both viruses. The malaria drug has been approved by the FDA to be prescribed for COVID-19, which it happened very, very quickly. If you're not familiar with this, a doctor cannot just write a prescription for any medication, regardless if he thinks that it will help a particular situation. What do I mean by that? It's called off-label use. There are several drugs that are okay for off-label use. I don't know, several, like probably hundreds at least. But there are some drugs that it's not even considered an off-label use. And that means that the FDA says, no, you can't write it for that. So this is like beyond the off-label use. Some examples of off-label use, I'm trying to think of one right quick. Oh, well, no, it's not really off-label, but what they originally thought Viagra was going to be was a heart medication. So if it would have been approved through the FDA as a heart medication, but they realized that it also helps with erectile dysfunction, that might be an off-label use, depending on what the FDA decided was okay to say about that particular medication. So that's the only example I can think of. No, it's not a perfect one because it's kind of flipped, but it was originally developed for heart issues, but it treats erectile dysfunction, so go figure. But again, if the FDA approved it for certain things, I don't know if that would truly be an off-label use, but that's kind of how the off-label use works. All right, so okay, so this medication, the hydroxychloroquin, also treats arthritis. And with arthritis, you have inflammation and stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see how what they find in like a bigger study. All right, remdesivir is in clinical trials right now in normal FDA safety process. This one right now can be prescribed through something called compassionate use. No, it's not the same as right to try. What it means is kind of like the off-label stuff where it's this kind of a situation and compassionate use is, hey, we think that this treatment might work, but there's not even been 40 people to try the remdesivir for this. So what they're doing is a doctor can say, hey, this patient has COVID-19 and I'm applying to be able to use remdesivir in this patient. So that's what compassionate use means, if you have heard that, but it's not the same as right to try. Okay, this is also interesting with remdesivir because if the compassionate use is approved, and I'm sure that the FDA will at this point, we have to get our arms around this thing, they'll be able to collect some more interesting data about the medication like I was talking about before. So they might be able to figure out things like exercise, or you can't have it with this food, or if you do this, it works better. If you do that, it works worse. So I'm very interested in learning about that. So there are two drugs right now. They both show promise. They've both been around for a long time. I don't want to touch on it now. I want to do it later. I want to get through the press conference, but I do want to explain, people said, well, these are not drugs that are for this. What are they doing? They don't know what they're doing. This is for Ebola. I will explain later. All right. The FDA commissioner said there's over 10,000 doctors and scientists working around the clock on this thing. Like I said, like this is their jam. They love the science and figuring it out, and will this medicine work for that because it worked for this, and then they have this in common. Like this is their shit. You know, this is what they get down with. So I think we're in good hands when it comes to that. So obviously the FDA and CDC are working together. They have been since before the first U.S. case. I'm going to explain something too about why these tests are so important, because it was part of the question. You know what? I'll just do it all together. I am so sorry. I have so many notes and I want to get to it all, but I'll do it later. All right. Okay. So state and private labs are sending the results to the CDC as they're supposed to. And I mentioned the backlogs of tests. So let me just scroll right by that. And yes, what I said earlier was the 3 states and 10 counties. The 10 counties was correct. Okay. There are some companies that are upping their mask production. Let me explain kind of what the issue was, okay? So 3M, for example, 3M and Honeywell make these masks, okay? So 3M in Minnesota, I think, they have a capacity to make 35 million masks a month, but only, I think it was 3 or 5 million, I think it was 3. Only 3 million of that capacity was approved to be used in a hospital. So just because they're making masks, it does not mean that it's up to the standards of a hospital. Now, there are also other things about that, and I don't mean standards like if you buy it yourself, there's a rip in it. I don't mean that. There's a lot of kind of red tape and like logistics and legislation and all of that stuff that if a hospital is going to use a product, it needs to meet certain things. The other issue is lots of times hospitals buy their supplies through consortiums. And what that does is, you know, the consortium is kind of the middleman. And they kind of negotiate prices and they handle all of that. So hospitals do not normally buy their supplies right from the manufacturer. It goes from manufacturer to distributor and then to the consortiums and then to the hospital. So what they did is they changed legislation or made new, I apologize, I'm not sure which, that makes it now so all 35 million of the capacity masks per month that 3M can make are now okay for hospitals to not only get and use, but to buy directly. That's unheard of, unprecedented. And the fact that it happened so quickly on top of that, wow, like I was really amazed by that, because it's not an easy process. And it's not an easy process because of our government, but our government is getting out of its own way and doing all these things very quickly, and they're all very good things to help us out with this COVID-19 thing. All right. All right, so yeah, masks up in production. Actually, Pence went in January to 3M in the Midwest, and they talked about it, and the masks production has been ramping up since then. And Honeywell is making millions too, millions of the masks. Okay, told you about the idiot at Clearwater Beach. Yeah, what these younger people don't understand, and frankly, a lot of older people too. COVID-19 this is from the CDC, okay, directly from the CDC. You know what, I'll quote it. A direct quote from the CDC, quote, COVID-19 is a new disease and we are still learning how it spreads, the severity of illness it causes, and to what extent it may spread in the United States. The most dangerous thing is that we're still learning how it spreads, okay? Once we figure that out, it's going to be a lot easier to completely prevent people from getting it if they do what they're asked to do. Self-isolate, wash your hands, don't go out if you don't need to, all that kind of stuff. All right. Oh, my notes keep going all the way up to the top and I got to scroll every time. Okay. Yeah, one other thing that I want to say about that is with this virus, you can be asymptomatic and have it. That is so dangerous because if you go through an airport and you feel okay and you're on a flight with 400 people going to London from Phoenix, not only are you exposing those 400 people on the flight, because remember, air circulates in a plane, you can't open the window. Whoever those 400 people are, They're going to spread, it's going to spread like wildfire. So we really need to figure out exactly how it spreads every single way that we know. It's not good enough to just know it's on this surface for this long, and if you sneeze it stays in the air 3 hours, and that's not enough. We need to know every single thing about it. Think of like a private investigator, right? If you've ever hired a private investigator, they find out every single thing. They find out what you like in your coffee. They find out what time you poop in the morning. They find out what time you feed your cat. And I'm not talking, 6:30-ish. I'm talking like 6:34 p.m. Right hand to, they need to be like private investigators with this and find out every single thing they can and use it to their advantage to beat the virus. So, wanted to explain that. I did the mail sanitization. All right, I think it's time to get to your questions, folks, but let me just double check what other articles. We talked about the medicines, talked about the White House briefing, talked about the packages. I think I hit up Precaution Overkill pretty good already. There's a new symptoms matrix that I published. No, well, I didn't like write it and publish it. I mean, published on my page, on my feed, on all my social media. So check that out. It's just updated where it shows, COVID-19 versus seasonal flu versus allergies versus common cold. So that's a good resource to have. Also today, in one of my posts, I shared information from a local fries driver, our Kroger. That's what our Kroger is called here. Talking about warehouses and supply of food and what the issue is with getting things restocked. And I also said, we have 3 holidays coming up, and grocery stores have prepared for that. They ordered all this stock for those 3 holidays. So I believe we're in good shape with the food. And also I posted one other thing. It was a text from one of my neighbor's doctors. She had called him with a question, and he texted her back with information basically like, don't go to the ER if you have these symptoms, but if you have these symptoms, go. So that was very good information that I shared. All right, so let's go to your questions. Again, I'm so sorry. I have to scroll down every single time I go back into this app. Go ahead and ask any questions, guys, if you have any, because I'm going to try to jump off here in about 10 minutes. Tomorrow, I'm still going to do a live, but I'm not going to be on Facebook all day kind of responding to questions and posting stuff. I need to start getting my house more ready and me more ready just in case I do get COVID-19. So I'm going to back it down, but I'm still going to update you with like news from the press conferences. If they interview the doctors, I'll do that too. Talk about some tips and all that stuff. I know this is heavy information, and I appreciate you guys being interested. I appreciate you thanking me for sharing it. I wanted to try to find a way to help. There's not a whole lot I can do physically, but this is knowledge that I have, and I'm so happy that sharing it is helping you guys. Okay. I want to say one other thing about asymptomatic, because I am asymptomatic. I have about 10 chronic conditions, but you never know it looking at me, unless I go out with my walker or my cane, which is very, very rare. But you wouldn't know it looking at me. Maybe you'd know the allergies, because I do that and I sneeze sometimes, but I'm an asymptomatic person. So just imagine that instead of what I do have, I have COVID-19. You can't tell, right? I don't look, I don't sound, I don't smell sick. You can't tell. If somebody is asymptomatic, it literally means no symptoms. So think of me. I don't look sick. That's asymptomatic. But if I had COVID-19, I could be spreading it all over if I wasn't doing what we're supposed to. I kind of hammered that home a little bit tonight, didn't I? Okay. There's going to be a lot of kind of conspiracy kind of... I'm not going to say that there's no stupid question, but there are some that are kind of like, really? Really? So, why won't the president give an answer when people ask, or when the reporters ask, when are we going back to normal? Well, he doesn't know. No one knows. It's not that he's hiding anything. It's just nobody knows. Right now, it's 15 days. We have to be doing these things. But I'm telling you right now, if we don't do these things, it's going to be a hell of a lot more than 15 days that you're going to be stuck in your house with your kids that can't go to school and they're driving you ape shit. So look, just do what we're supposed to do. And then when day 14 comes, President Trump and the task force will get in front of that microphone and say, we did it. We did it. Everybody can go back to school and go back to work and get your paychecks, and we defeated this COVID-19 virus. But I'll tell y'all, if you don't do what we're supposed to do, it's going to be a hell of a lot longer than 15 days, okay? But he doesn't know, really. I mean, nobody knows. It's such a new thing, and they're trying to figure out everything about it. So maybe when they know some more of that kind of stuff they're trying to figure out, they can update that. But again, I'll tell you right now, if we don't do what we're supposed to do, 15 days could turn into a lot longer. Okay. Yeah, who knows what situation we would be in if the flights from China weren't stopped. People are saying you didn't do enough, you didn't do it soon enough, and I don't want this to get political, but it's very hard for a lot of people to think back and say, whoa, we could have been like this in the future. It's actually something that I do a lot because I've marketing research and analyzing data and stuff like that. So we really don't know what situation we would be in. My personal opinion, it would be a hell of a lot worse. So let's just do what we're supposed to do. And then on day 14 of all this, he'll come out and say, hey, tomorrow you can leave your homes. Okay. Somebody said they need to start using these drugs now. No waiting. Find more. Okay. So first of all, I explained earlier how they're handling the 2 drugs that have promise. But companies are calling the FDA and the CDC. They reported that and saying, hey, we tested this drug and it wasn't FDA approved for this, and we weren't trying to get a drug that does this particular thing, but it also does this. Example, Viagra. Viagra was a heart medication, and they found out. So that could happen with these other drugs too, that the companies are calling the CDC and the FDA about. By the way, I don't know if you guys heard, but construction companies are actually donating their PPE, you know, their booties, their Tyvek suits, their N95 masks and all of that, which is awesome. Like I said last night, if you have a box of masks and you're not sick, it would be kind of nice because it can't prevent you really from getting sick for sure. If you call your hospital, your local hospital, and say, hey, I thought I would need this, but I don't. Can I bring it into you and maybe we'll just take out 5 or 10 masks for me to keep? You can try that. If it's not an open box, please don't open it. Take out the 5 to 10 masks and take the box to the hospital. Please don't do that. If you have it sealed and you have it like nothing has gotten into it or no air and it's all good and it's brand new, try what I said. I'm sure that a hospital would gladly take a box of 97 masks and then you had the 3 on your way out, than not have any or not even be offered. So I think that would be an awesome thing to do if you have masks. Okay. And you're not sick. Okay, so they need to start using the drug now. Okay. All right. Here's another thing about using drugs for something that they're not intended for. And let me come up here. Okay. First of all, you need to have the right dose. So just because, let's say, 10 milligrams of a certain drug worked for one thing, it doesn't mean that 10 milligrams is the dose for any other thing you want to use it for. Think about it in your own home. If you have like a little headache, you might take 1 Tylenol, right? But if you have a migraine, you're probably going to take 2. That's an example of finding the right dose in your own life that you can kind of relate to. All right. Also, they can't just shoot an IV full of whatever drug it is. First of all, these people are very sick anyway. So you don't want to make it worse if they have horrible side effects from a drug that you thought would work on them. And now, not only do you have to deal with the COVID-19 symptoms, now you're going to have to deal with side effects from a drug. And that side effects are anything. If you're not used to taking medication every day, you've heard it on TV. You've heard about these crazy side effects with these drugs. You don't want to be a COVID-19 patient fighting for your life with that and then get nasty side effects from a drug. So yeah, I talked about efficacy, I talked about safety and side effects with that. Okay. let's move on to the next question. Oh, no, not yet. I'm sorry, like I said, this keeps scrolling back to the top when when the screen shuts off. Okay. Okay, why are there so many cases? It's freaking me out. I addressed that earlier, and again, while the lab is cleaning through the backlog, that's the way it's going to be. There's going to be high numbers of cases for at least the next few days because of that. And then it'll start being, we just tested this person and now we're getting their results. But now it's maybe people from a week ago and 3 days ago, and all these people were tested, but now the results of those tests are going to come out in one number. Okay, so that's what that's about. Next question. Pence said marshal the resources. That's martial law. Okay, no, it's not. And there are two marshals. There's one M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L, and then there's one M-A-R-T-I-A-L. M-A-R-T-I-A-L is martial law. Okay, M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L, marshal the resources. That means we're going to get them all together, we're going to get them in line, and we're going to send them out. Marshaling is kind of, you know, getting shit together, getting it ready, getting it to go. That's what that is. It's not the same thing as martial, M-A-R-T-I-A-L, law. Okay, so just to explain that. Oh, God love them. What can I do? Question mark, crying emoji. Okay, so if you have face masks, like I mentioned before, try calling a hospital or even a nursing home and saying, hey, I have this box of masks. I thought I would need it, but it turns out it doesn't help prevent the virus for sure. So it's still sealed, and I would love to donate it to the hospital. And I'll just, if I could, take 10 masks out of there once I get to the hospital, right? Because we don't know if they need the boxes sealed. I'll just take 10 out for my family. That's one thing that you can do if you have masks. This is just an idea I had. I do not know if hospitals can take boxes of masks that are open. They might be able to. But if you definitely have a sealed box of masks, I would call the hospital. We all got to figure out ways to help out in this, guys. And if you have a box of masks, call the hospital. And I'm sure they would happily part with 3 masks to get 97 out of a box of 100. So just examples. I'm not saying you need 3 masks at home if you have COVID-19. I'm not saying 20 masks. You know your family, you know your situation. Offer the hospital the majority of the masks, or even for Christ's sake, if it's a box of 100 and you want to give them 50 and keep 50, that's better than them not having the 50. So don't take the particular quantity is the way it works. This was just an idea that I had. Call the hospitals, see if they can, you can donate them. Okay, but don't open the box first and take your own out. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Why? Why not do it? Because you're taking it to a hospital, so they probably have certain guidelines that they have to follow. I'm not saying that they wouldn't take an open box, but what I'm saying is it's smarter to keep it sealed, and then you can go and, you know, figure out how many you're going to give them, how many you're going to get back, or give them the whole box. You could always do that. Excuse me. Okay, what can I do? Okay, they made another plea for blood. You can donate blood at the Red Cross. The Red Cross is being super careful right now. They're checking fevers when people come in. They're sanitizing everything. Even between donors, they are sanitizing the beds. So I personally think they should have been doing that all along. Maybe they have, I don't know. But definitely, if you are healthy enough to donate blood, we need blood right now. And part of that is there's something called convalescent plasma. What that means is in this case, what that means is somebody had COVID-19 and they recovered. Now, their blood plasma has the antibodies to COVID-19. So that can be used for, I don't know exactly what, but I know it can be used to kind of help for treatments and maybe a vaccine and stuff. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that, excuse me, that the Red Cross is asking for blood donations, and so is the Surgeon General. So, all right. Help your neighbors, especially those that are elderly and some that have some immune issues. Our stores around here, I don't know if where you are, but maybe, are limiting certain hours at the store, like between 6 in the morning and 9 in the morning for just elderly or pregnant women or people who are sick, not sick with COVID-19, don't take it that way, but like not as strong as the rest of the people, I guess you would say, or maybe a little more frail, or maybe these people honestly couldn't get supplies because everybody was hoarding all the shit and grabbing it off the shelves, and it was dangerous for people to even stand near them. I'm just saying, guys. By the way, if you didn't see the video that I shared on my feed today, it cracked me up. This woman was talking about all the supplies that she got, and she's so prepared, and it's like day 8 of her quarantine, and she's like, what? Why did I buy this? I don't. She bought a bunch of beans. She's like, I have never cooked with beans. I would. I like cooking with beans. I would know what to do with them. All right. What else you can do? Don't spread misinformation or unverified information. This is why I always put the source, even if it's just my experience, even if it's just me or something I saw. I always put the source. That way you know that it is something that is a fact. Or if I say, here's a myth, you know it's a myth. That truly is one of the most important things that we can do right now, is make sure information that we're sharing is verified and like a reliable source, like the CDC or something like that. Not the National Enquirer. Don't share that shit. Don't share that. But with misinformation going around, some people read it and that's what they believe. They don't watch Fox News for an update, or they don't go to the MSNBC website for an update. They're not interested in this stuff. It might seem like I'm a bit obsessive about it. I don't mean to be. I just know this is in my wheelhouse. All these skills, getting details down, understanding the medical aspect of it, not the scientific aspect very much regarding the virus and all that stuff, but the medical stuff, the medications, the drugs, I can explain all that. So yeah, this is in my wheelhouse. Now, and I am doing this because I know a lot of you are still working. I'm from home with my chronic conditions. I can't work, so I can sit and have the TV on. And when I hear the press conference start, I can write notes and all of that stuff. So that's kind of my way of helping. But yeah, don't share unverified info. You can always share any post that I have about this. That's why I changed and made all of it public. Friend request me if you're just following me now. That's fine. The YouTube channel, like I said, I have like 13 subscribers, so it's not like I'm getting ad revenue, and it's not why I'm doing this whatsoever. But if you prefer YouTube, you can go on there to my Pain Warrior USA channel. It's like a long name. I have to change it. It's like Pain Warrior USA, Hacks for Fibromyalgia, and something else. But I'm going to change it. But that's where you can find it. Sometimes it's easier to do YouTube than Facebook. I get that. So yeah, share verified information. Okay, next question. What is telehealth? How will they know if I have a fever via phone or Skype? That's a good question, because the thermometer is not going to shoot out of your computer. First of all, what is telehealth? Telehealth is a way to get medical care, and it's used for other things. Think video conference. It's used for other things, like business. But in this case, telehealth specifically is like a doctor's visit. It's usually done by video conference. It could be done by the phone. It could even be done through text. But I would imagine text is not really relevant in this case, but like if it were me talking to one of my doctors, if I had her number to text her, I'm a stable patient with all of my medications and my conditions. So if I'm still a stable patient, I can probably get away with a text kind of telehealth thing. So telehealth, basically, it's probably going to be a Skype session, and the doctor will ask in a usual appointment with COVID-19, they'd have to ask some of these things. What are your symptoms? In this particular case, I know fever seems to be a hallmark of this, but make sure you check the symptoms matrix that I published, because there are some on there too. Obviously, how will the doctor know if I have a fever by phone or Skype? Great question. The doctor will probably ask you, did you take your temperature at home? If you don't have a health thermometer, check out my live from 2 nights ago. I tested a probe thermometer for food to see how accurate it was versus a regular health thermometer. I tested it in water, and I tested them both under my tongue, so check that out. But no, they can't obviously take your fever over the phone or through Skype. So they'll ask, Did you take your temperature? Okay. If you didn't, they'll probably ask you about other symptoms of you having a fever. Some of those are like a bad headache. Like let me tell you when I have a fever, some of the symptoms that I have, okay? Sorry, my back itches. So when I have a fever, I always have a headache, especially when I'm lying down and then I go to sit up, it gets a lot worse. It's kind of pounding. When you have a fever, you probably feel cold. So no, they can't take your temperature through a telehealth appointment, but my guess is that they will ask if you took it at home, and obviously what it was when you took it. And if you didn't have a thermometer, they'll ask you if you have other symptoms of a fever. So, all right. Okay, here it is, the question about the medicine. They don't know what they're doing. I looked up remdesivir and it's for Ebola. This virus doesn't have the same symptoms as Ebola. Well, you're right about part of that. It's not the same symptoms, at least the hallmark ones that we all know about with Ebola. But this drug is not for treating symptoms, okay? This drug is for treating the viral component, the viral infection. I couldn't think of that word. So these drugs are not meant to treat the symptoms of COVID-19. They are meant to attack the virus in your body so it can't continue to replicate and it eventually dies off. So it's a good question, very good question in fact. But just for clarity, remdesivir is not only for Ebola, it's also used in Marburg, and they're both viruses. So great question, but again, just remember, they do know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they're doing and know the symptoms are not the same as Ebola or Marburg virus, at least some of them. But yeah, they're looking to attack the virus in the body with a treatment. That's what they're trying to do. So the virus dies off and can't continue to replicate and make you sick and infect everybody else. Somebody asked, how can you not be panicked right now? Because I'm prepared, I think. I probably will get it. I accepted that fact at least a week ago. But I'm not really a religious person. I'm more spiritual. So I'm not panicked because I believe if I am meant to get the coronavirus, this strain of coronavirus, if I'm meant to get it and I'm meant to die from it, I will. I don't think I'm going to die from it. I think I might get it, but I'm just saying that's my outlook on things. You know, I have, to kind of pat my own back, I have a pretty decent attitude most of the time. I'm not depressed. I used to be depressed and sad and be an a-hole sometimes because I was frustrated with my conditions and all of that, but it didn't get me anywhere, so I stopped being that way. And now I find humor in pretty much everything. I have accepted what's going on in my body and the fact that I can't really change it, so I should stop fighting it. I should just start handling it, basically. But yeah, I'm not panicked. And part of that too, I'm not going to lie, part of that too is because in my, I lost my, hold on, my YouTube hookup. Wait. There we go. Sorry, folks. In my area, quite honestly, there are not that many cases yet. I'm definitely not going to panic because that's not going to help anything. I've got to keep my wits about me and keep my head right. But I will probably get a little more concerned, might even go to worry once we see over the next few days how many cases are going to be in my area. But I'm prepared. I'm doing what they're telling us to do. And like I said, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. So that's why I'm not panicked. And also, by the way, our house is always stocked with the things that we need. That's just the way that me and my better half are. So I didn't have to go out and run and get food. We're good on that. There are a lot of tips and tricks to do that on a budget, but one of them I'll tell you now, not that you can use it because the stores are trying to get their stock back, but when something is on sale that I know we're going to use, like rice, I buy an extra bag or two. Sometimes I make the mistake of something being on sale and I'm like, oh, I wanted to cook with that, I'll buy it. And I forget about it sometimes. But yeah, that's another reason why I'm not panicked, because we're pretty well stocked anyway before any of this started. And I'm doing what I was told to do. And I have a wonderful partner that I'm very happy that I have somebody like him in this situation. That's what I'll say. Love you, babe. All right. Next question. Explain the truck driver post from earlier. What do you mean hours for drivers? I think I know what this question's about. So both my dad and my brother, my dad used to be, my brother still is, what they call over-the-road truck drivers. So they drive tractor trailers with different supplies from here to there, and they've been doing that for a long time. So I know about this. That's my source for this information. The government limits how many hours truck drivers can drive, and they consider driving not just sitting behind the wheel. There are other things that kind of go toward that. Obviously, this is for safety. I don't know what it is, but the exact number is, I'm sure my brother, if he sees this, will tell me, but it's like for every X amount of hours you are driving or behind the wheel or delivering or whatever's included, for X amount of hours you do the driving stuff, you have to rest for X amount of hours. So that's my understanding about it. And what the truck driver post is, when he was talking about the hours kind of being, I don't remember the word he used. It wasn't changed, but it was kind of, the restrictions were loosened. That means that now the truck drivers can drive more hours than they could before, and then have less hours between, perhaps. I don't know if it's that, or if it's they increase the driving hours, and like I said, maybe they decrease the rest time, or maybe they kind of evened it out a different way. But basically what it means is the truck drivers that bring all of these supplies from the warehouse to your stores have now been given permission by law to drive more hours. That's what it means. Why? Okay. This was in the video earlier, and it was in a post earlier, and somebody actually asked me. So 3 people mentioned this. It's not really a question. It's kind of cute though. Why did I buy so many protein shakes? Winky face. Because you're smart. That's why. It's a very good thing to have right now because, first of all, it's portable. I always like food that's portable if you have to go somewhere. And you need to take some kind of food source with you. Protein shakes are really good for when you're sick. Like me, I hardly have an appetite ever, and I have nausea a lot, and I have to force myself to eat. But something like a protein shake, it's almost like drinking water. Of course, it's flavored, but you can just stick a straw in it, and like kind of you're not paying attention, you're watching TV, and you're just drinking it. And before you know it, your protein drink is gone, and the protein is in your body. So I do believe that people who stocked up on protein shakes, good job, because if anybody in your house gets sick, they're going to need to keep trying to stay strong and get protein in their body so their body can fight it. So if you bought protein shakes, good call. Actually, what I wrote her back is, because you're smart. All right. How is it not airborne when there's community spread, not just person to person? Okay, we talked about this quite a bit last night. So airborne means something different. What COVID-19, at this point, it can survive in the air. That's a different thing. Community spread doesn't mean that an entire community... Whoa! What happened, Lily? You okay? Bubba? You all right? Yeah, he's okay. Sorry about that. So community spread just means that it was not person to person. So in other words, like if I were to get it and then they found out that my better half had it, or the other way around, that's person to person. Community is, we're not really sure how you got it, but it's not person to person. We know that because we couldn't trace back somebody who was exposed to it in your circle. All right. He's acting weird. Okay. Why won't they tell us the names of the other medications? Okay. So remember we talked about the 2 drugs earlier, remdesivir and the hydroxychloroquin. I don't want to say it wrong. Hold on. Hydroxychloroquin. Okay. So plain and simple, first of all, they're not telling us the names of the drugs because they probably don't have any other promising candidates at this particular time. But remember, these other two kind of real quick came about. So it's not that they won't tell us, it's that they don't, in my opinion, that they don't have good enough viable candidates yet. That is one reason. The other reason, and this was actually kind of talked about in the press conference, is there are some things that by law the FDA does not disclose. No, I don't know the verbiage. No, I don't know exactly why. No, I don't know much of that part of it. But I do know the FDA commissioner did say that. By law, there are just some things that they can't disclose. Some of it probably has to do, if I had to guess, with like patents for the medications, because oftentimes the brand name of the medication takes into it part of the generic or part of the chemical that makes that drug. So I think that's part of it, because if he were to say, oh, it's this drug, and that brand name, or what they named it, happens to have part of the chemical name in it, well, another company might be listening and they can try to swoop in and get that drug to market before the company that, you know, they mentioned. So that's what I think. I don't think it's that they're not telling us what the names of the other drugs are. I just don't think that they have any good enough viable candidates yet where they can announce it. Because listen, they don't want to give anybody wrong information or false hope. I mean, like I posted earlier, think of the toll on all of these people and everything they do. And I'm not just talking our president, and don't make it political. Everything that they do, somebody has a problem with, and it's usually somebody who's a reporter. So, and that's not just the president. There are other people who have made decisions that reporters have questioned. So that's what I think about that. You know what? I'm just going to scroll through and make sure there are no other questions. I don't want to miss any. And, oh, pie filling was at the bottom. We talked about the pie filling. All right. Okay, guys, I think I hit on everything. Yeah, I did. So, oh, I went long tonight. I apologize, guys. Like I said, though, just remember tomorrow I'm not going to be on social media as much. Like I said, I'll keep the TV on in the background so I can hear the news that's coming out. I still have to deal with that package from China that I disinfected and then I put back on the surface where it was not disinfected. So I'm going to do that before I close out here. But tomorrow I'll go live again. But it's going to be more of the, okay, I'm stuck in my house and I have rice and 2 tomatoes. What can I do? So I'm going to share some recipes for all this, like food that people stocked up on. They're not sure what to do, especially the produce. I'm going to, of course, share the COVID-19 news of the day because it's important for us to stay updated. I don't like to share statistics, honestly. I can talk a little bit about them, but I don't like to share them because, in a way, they don't mean a whole lot. And I know that sounds terrible, but what I mean is with the labs still having a backlog and with people not following the precautions that were given and other stuff, I don't know. I just don't like giving the numbers right now. You can always find them out, but I don't want to go that deep into it. But yeah, so I'll be back with more information tomorrow, and I will see you then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and if you have any other questions, please let me know. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Let's just kind of take a minute and think of all the people on the front lines of this. Whether it's in the government or it's nurses and doctors. Let's just take a minute to think about them. In fact, I think I'm going to start every live with a little minute to think about them. So let's keep them all in our thoughts and our prayers, and of course everybody else, because we got to get our arms around this thing. We got to figure it out, and we got to stop the spread. So thanks, guys. I hope you have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy. If you have questions you want to know, let me know. Any which way you know how to contact me is fine. I know some of these questions might be of a more private nature, or somebody's not comfortable with everybody seeing what they ask. That's cool. Just get at me however you know how to. If you want a private way, post that, and I will let you know how to get at me privately with a message. That came out sounded weird. But yeah, I'm going to get going. I got some stuff to do in the next half hour before I head to bed. So you guys have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe, stay healthy. Oh, Louis says good night too. Good night, y'all. Ready to go in, baby? All right. All right, Facebook world. I don't know how to shut this off. It's my first time using it. Bear with me. All right, there it is. So, hey guys, I apologize for not looking in this camera too awfully much. I have a very low-tech setup going on here, but I'll get it together. This was the first time that I did the live through YouTube, and I had to get streaming software and this and that and the other thing. So, tomorrow I will have a better setup, so I'm kind of making more eye contact with you. All right. Hope you enjoyed this information. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them. Again, if they're of a private nature, let me give you an email you can use. It's painwarriorusa@gmail.com. So the first 3 words of this channel, painwarriorusa@gmail.com. Thank you so much for hanging out here. I hope the information was helpful. I will see you guys for a live sometime tomorrow night. I hope it's not going to be as late as this one because I know there are people on the East Coast, but I do like to do them a little bit later just because news is coming out all day about this until like probably about 4 o'clock my time. So we'll see, but I'll definitely post it as an event and let y'all know and post it on my other social media. So thanks for hanging out. Stay safe, stay healthy, follow the precautions, wash your hands, and I'll see you tomorrow.